What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we're going to talk about the Hive-Mind. We're going to break down all their T4s, ISO 8, the best game modes for them, the best position of this team, depending on the game mode of course, and see how much do you really have to invest on them to get the most out of it in the current meta, as always. So we're going to take a look at my infographic, and we're going to break down all the information that you need to know in order to invest on this team without over-investing, right? Right now, a lot of people are struggling with the amount of T4s they have available, so it's going to be very important that you don't waste T4s where you don't really need them. So we're going to break down all that information, and as always, if you like the information on these videos, make sure you share this video with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button like a boss. Okay, so who's an absolute boss is Venom. He's a beast right now in all kinds of game modes, and Hive-Mind overall, it's a pretty interesting team. They are made specifically for raids, but you can use certain characters in different places. You can use, for example, Void Knight in Arena. We're gonna use Venom in Cosmic Crucible and also in Alliance Wars. And other characters, sometimes you can use them in other places as well. So we're gonna take a look at the infographic, and then we're going to take a look at what is the investment and why should you invest on specific T4s and the ISO 8 and which type of ISO 8 for defense and also for offense, depending on how you want to pair up this team. Okay, so let's get started. Let's take a look at my Discord. So I have to inform that this infographic and the other ones are taking a little bit longer because I'm trying to restructure the Discord. So instead of having the teams based on if they are meta or not, I just have to make them based on the year that they are released. And the reason why, it's because right now we are on such a versatile meta that there are way too many teams and you cannot put them all in one place on Discord. So it was just a better way to break it down. Okay, so we have right here the infographic for the Hive-Mind. It was posted today, and you can see it right here. So we have the T4s for Carnage. As always, if it's orange, it affects all game modes. If it's green, it's just for raids. These T4s, they have a little bit value outside of raids, but not a lot. And there are no specific T4s that you have to use for Cosmic Crucible or anything like that. So we have the ISO 8 for defense, we have the ISO 8 for offense. Of course, this is going to be only if you are really trying to maximize the value of your characters on defense. Are they good on defense? Yes, if they are very big, and if you have them with characters like Super Scroll, for example, which a lot of people have been running. And then we also have the levels of investment. The most important characters on this team is going to be Gwenom, Red Goblin and Venom, Void Knight and Carnage. You can have them smaller than the other characters. Okay, so let's start off with the T4s. And we're gonna start in alphabetic order. So we're gonna start with Carnage. With Carnage, it's quite simple. You can pretty much skip all these T4s except from the passive. So basic, more damage is nothing special. It's not piercing damage. So anytime we have damage that is not piercing damage, and if the character is skirmisher, we're gonna skip that. So this one not important. The special is also not important. You could maybe do the special if you are really having problems like doing AoE attacks. Usually it's not the case, so I would skip this one as well. The ultimate is not the worst because you are applying bleeds for 2 turns and it's 2 bleeds. So the highest ability is in terms of level, the better. But the T4 activates a function that only works if the enemies are below 50% health, and this is very rare. So it's not going to be anything special. This T4 is a bait. It's very misleading. And then we have the passive. When a character drops below 25% health, gain additional 10% speed bar to a maximum of 30%. And then whenever a character has taunt, gain 50% crit damage. This sounds very good, but it actually doesn't do anything because it's very rare for characters to have taunt. So forget about this part. But yeah, you should do the T4 on the passive of Carnage and skip everything else because they are not important. Okay, moving on, we are going to take a look at Gwenom. Gwenom, like I said, she's a very important character on her basic. with a T4 only, she's gonna clear the barrier of the primary target and adjacent target. So if they have 30% barrier, it's like you are doing 30% damage. So this T4 is actually very important. She also applies 2 bleeds, and 2 bleeds, once again, this is more valuable than having 1 bleed for 2 turns. So we have a double value here in terms of the T4s. She's also a striker most of the times, so this is definitely a good T4 for you to do on your Gwenom. Then we have the special, applies a stun for 2 turns rather than just 1, and in raids, spread all positive effects excluding stealth, taunt and regeneration. So this is a very powerful T4 as well, not only because of the 2-turn stun, which is massive, but also for the functionality in raids. But just focus on the 2-turn stun, because that's what you're going to use outside of raids, and that's the long-term value for Gwenom. Then we have the ultimate, bury yourself and all Hive-Mind and Spider-Verse allies for 15% health of this character. Now Gwenom, she does not have a lot of health, and especially if she's not together with Void Knight, so this barrier is not going to be like insane amounts of barrier, but it's okay, right? And she does a little bit more damage to all the enemies, and she does not apply bleed. So this is a okay T4. I'll just focus on the basic and on the special. And then we have the passive. The passive is absolutely must have, because whenever Hive-Mind character drops below 50%, you get 2 evades, and this can proc all the time. So it's very important to have this T4 on your team. It's going to give them insane survivability on defense and on offense as well. Okay, so now you're going to take a look at the Red Goblin T4s. On the basic, he applies bleeds, and if you have the T4, he's going to apply 1 more regeneration to the most injured Hive-Mind character, and he's going to do additional 100% damage, non-piercing. So yes, he's doing a little bit more damage. Does Red Goblin do a lot of damage? Yes, he actually does a lot of damage. Are you going to use his basic quite often? Probably not. But it's still okay T4 if you are facing a match that is going to take a long time or something like that. It's okay T4, but it's almost skippable. Then we have the special. In raise applies trauma for 2 turns rather than just 1. So once again, we have a T4 that is just as useful as these characters are meta in raids, which the team was just released, so at least for 9 months they're going to have some value. Heals all allies for 30% max health, which is nice. Unfortunately, Red Goblin does not have a lot of value paired up with other characters, so he might not get huge value out of this T4. So for raids, for now, you should do this T4. If you're watching this video in the future, like next year, probably this is a T4 that you can skip as well. Then we have the ultimate. The ultimate is going to do insane amount of damage, because the more positive effects that Red Goblin has, the more damage he's going to do. And he's also going to transfer 5 negative effects from Hive-Mind allies to himself, and then from himself to the enemies. But this only works in raids. So once again, it's another T4 that right now has some value, but if you are watching this in the future, not really. So let's be honest, you can pretty much skip all these T4s. If you're watching this in the future, right now you should do the special and the ultimate. In terms of the passive, when an enemy takes damage from bleed, apply 1 deflect to all Hive-Mind characters. Now, some people complain about this T4 because it screws them up when you are facing super scrolls, and that's fine. But guess what? Or you don't do the T4, or you don't face super scrolls with this team. So that's pretty much it. This T4 is okayish. I skipped it, it's not important in my opinion, but if you think your team is too squishy, if your team is too small, then this is definitely a T4 that is going to increase their survivability. Okay, so once again, just to recap, all the T4s on Red Goblin are skippable, but the basic has a little bit of value. Special and ultimate have value, at least for now, on the current raid meta. And the passive, it's up to you if it's worth it or not. In raids, I find it completely useless. Let's take a look at Venom, and Venom is a beast right now, absolute beast. When you do the T4 on the basic, he's going to get 20% speed bar, and this also works with a striker as a weight, so he's going to get 40% speed bar as long as the enemy has vulnerability. So this ability is absolutely powerful, must have T4 no doubt. The special prolongs negative effects in raids. It's okay, applies more bleeds for 2 turns. It's okay, nothing special. You can pretty much skip the special. In terms of the ultimate, same thing, is going to clear negative effects from self and the most injured ally. It's okay, it does more damage and it spreads bleeds. So that means this ability will make the bleed stronger, but overall is not a good ability. You don't use it quite often because the cooldown is longer. So this is another T4 that you could skip. And then we have the passive. On turn, Venom is going to get 10% speed to a maximum of 30% speed. So this is speed stat, not speed bar. Speed bar is what he gets on his basic. The speed stat is just increase of his stats in speed. And I think right now he is at 107 speed. So 30% of that is going to be very fast. So this is a must-have T4 for Venom. Whether using him in Raids, Alliance Wars, Cosmic Crucible, wherever you want to use him, this is a must-have T4. So for Venom, basic and passive, and the other ones is up to you, but they are pretty much skippable. And finally we have Void Knight. Void Knight basic is absolute trash. It has a lot of text, but this text does not mean anything. Just forget about it. It does single target damage and that's it. This is absolute trash. Don't do this T4. In terms of the special, it's going to allow you to steal energy outside of raids. It's only 1 energy, so you have to be very careful when you use this ability. It does piercing damage, so it's going to be long lasting because piercing damage ignores armor. Then we have the ultimate, applies ability block for 2 turns and attacks all enemies. So this is a nice T4, this is a must-have T4 because Void Knight goes fast, ability blocks for 2 turns, and you pretty much win the game. So that's it. The value of the T4 is just a 2 turns ability block. Like on Gwenom we had 2 turns of stun as well. And finally we have the passive of Void Knight. This is absolute must-have T4 because he's going to generate energy to himself and to Hive-Mind on spawn, and the more Hive-Mind allies you have, the more energy he's going to get. So pretty much he has full energy all the time in war, in raids. And in the other game modes, well, it depends on which characters you are using. So the T4s for this team are quite easy. There are a lot of T4s that you can skip. So once again, you can see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, depending on when you are watching this video. 8, 9, 10 T4s that you could skip or that have some limited time value. Now, in terms of ISO weight, if you are using these characters on defense and on offense, the ISO weight is quite different. So for Carnage, you can use him as a raider on defense, skirmisher on offense. Gwenom, you want to use her as a skirmisher on defense, just to make sure that she always applies the stun. And on offense, you can use her as a striker. You could also use her as a striker on defense, because as you guys can see, most of the other characters are raiders or skirmishers, so that would be a good thing. But I would prefer the skirmisher just to make sure that she lands the stun. Then we have a red goblin with raider as a weight on defense and skirmisher on offense, just to make sure that you apply the traumas in raids. That's very important. Venom is a striker on offense and on defense. And Void Knight, he can be a raider on defense because the AI is controlling the characters, but on offense, in my opinion, he should be a skirmisher. So whenever you're facing a character with pounds, or if you are facing Black Knight or any other tank with a lot of resistance like Colossus, now with the Colossus rework, the skirmisher is going to be very important as well. As I mentioned before, the characters you really want to focus your gear on is Gwenom, because she gives the evades, Red Goblin because he revives, and Venom because he's absolute beast, an absolute monster. So these are the 3 characters you want to gear up the most. Carnage and Void Knight, they can go around with a lot less gear, so it's up to you to decide what you want to invest or not. In terms of game modes, right now the Hive-Mind team, they allow you to build some different teams in Blitz, so because of that they have a very good rating. In terms of arena, Void Knight has definitely value in arena, the other characters no. In terms of raids, they are designed for raids, so they have to be good. In terms of Dark Dimension, a lot of people ask, are these characters good in Dark Dimension? No, they're all trash in Dark Dimension. You can see that none of them gets at 4 stars, and if you're not like 4 stars or 5 stars, you should not even be considered for Dark Dimension. Void Knight has barely any use there. Gwenom, she has some use but not a lot. Venom is too expensive, and Red Goblin is not great. He has some usefulness, but not too much as well, and that's why they have this low ranking for Dark Dimension. In terms of Alliance Wars, Void Knight, huge value, for sure you can use him individually. The other characters are okay, with Venom being better than everyone else, and on Avengers Tower and Cosmic Crucible, depending on the meta, they might have more or less value. In Avengers Tower, because we can choose which enemies we are going to attack, we can get some more value out of this team or out of these characters. And in Cosmic Crucible, right now we have a season that allows us to use these characters in combination with Sinister Six and Superior Six. So for now, you can use pretty much all of them, and together with Sinister Six, they are going to have some very good value. But that does not mean that will have value in the future. These Cosmic Crucible seasons, they have very limited value, so don't invest on this team just because right now they are decent, they are available to be used in Cosmic Crucible, so keep that in mind. So yeah guys, overall that's all you need to know about the Hive-Mind team. This is a team that is quite fun to play with. Like I said, Venom is a beast of a character, and hopefully we'll get more symbiotes in the future and it will increase their value in Alliance Wars and Cosmic Crucible and so on. There are still a lot of symbiotes that we could see in the game, like the Life Foundation symbiotes. So and even Null, right? There are some rumors that Null is coming to the game, so there is a high possibility that these characters will get more value in the future. But that's all the information that you need to know for now about the Hive-Mind. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you smash that like button, and if you found the video helpful, make sure you share this video with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Mouse Strike Force content, and I'll catch you guys later.